Well, I mean, welcome to Kiss My Asparagus, everyone.
Thank you,
Appreciate
thank you, thank you. Welcome.
And so,
it.
what I'm going to do, usually I introduce everyone, but I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves. So the audience can just get like a gist of who you are and, why you became plant-based.
Perfect.
You want to start, Heem?
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start. Absolutely. Peace and love, family. My name is Heem Green. I'm a herbalist. I'm a naturopathy. I've been on this vegan journey, so-called vegan journey, for 8 years. 6 years out of that 8 years, I've been fully raw, so I haven't had cooked food in about 6 years. This is a lifestyle that I stay strong to, and I think is, something that I advocate for everybody. So that's who I am, Heem Green, the herbalist, the raw foodist, and I'm here to give you all the wisdom that I can.
Awesome. Love that. Corinne, you want to go next?
Yeah, my name's Korin Sutton. Been vegan for over 13 years. I'm an online fitness coach, own a business called Body HD Fitness. Also been in the military for over 8 years. Did 4 years United States Marine Corps active service. Also deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4. And then did another 4 years in the United States Navy Reserves.
Welcome.
All right, man, my name is Bryant Jennings. I've been vegan for a little over 10 years. I'm a professional boxer. I starred in the Game Changers, the vegan documentary, I pretty much turned plant-based to begin based off of not having the correct information about what we're putting into our bodies and just being more skeptical and being more being more alert of what I feed in my to my body.
Awesome. Let's all great reasons to become vegan and plant-based. I know, Corinne, I've looked at your page and seen that you're vegan for more than just your health. I think for me, it was mostly my health, but I think you're an advocate for the animals too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I went vegan because being in the military, I saw the worst side of humans. I've seen people die in war, people get shot, a lot of violence, a lot of pain and suffering. And when I started my vegan journey, it was when I was in college and I was actually in the Navy Reserves at the time. And I had a vegan activist called Gary Roski come into my classroom and he talked about the reasons why you should go vegan. And he went through different types of angles from the ethical point of view to medical health. And what got me was more on the ethical because what I saw when he started showing me like the slaughterhouse videos and things like that, what I saw out of that was the same things that I saw when I was in war, which
Mm.
was not just like the death and the killing and the abuse, but it's actually that moment when life ceased to exist from a living being. It's the same reaction, same feeling when you see the soul just leaves the body. And especially that struggle of life, like struggling for life and then seeing it cease to exist. That's the same stuff I witnessed in war. And that's when it told me like these animals are conscious beings. They're not just there for food. They do value life. And it just changed my whole perspective on life in general. So when I saw that, obviously one of the first questions was like where do you get your protein? How can you do this healthy? And from to make a long story short, that's when I decided to change my major from criminal justice into exercise science and physiology. Became a nutritionist and started teaching others how to do the same.
Awesome. Um, so Heem, I know you are a naturopath and herbalist and nutritionist as well. So I think your perspective is more so for us as humans. And, can you talk to us a little bit about like how living food is so important for us, the herbs, like is, as comprehensive as you can in the time that we have.
Absolutely. as far as my journey and all the research that I've done and actually living it for about 6 years now. My 6 year anniversary actually comes up on in July, so in another 2 months or so. But living food is mandatory. It's something that you can't leave living food out of your lifestyle. The thing is, we have a deaf culture that we live. So we eat a diet, and the key word is diet. Die. Like the good brother just said, a lot of these animals are being killed. So you're eating a dead animal means you're eating death. That's what you're consuming. But on a higher level spectrum, when we're eating on a vegan diet or on a plant-based diet, you're also consuming food that lacks nutrients, lacks minerals, lacks enzymes because you're cooking the food. You see, being a raw foodist is about eating from, your true chef is Mother Nature and the Most High, the Sun. Once that food has been prepped and curated and cooked by nature, and you could pluck it from the tree or you can get it from the leaves, it's ready to go. You don't need to heat it. You don't need to do any extra processing to it because now you start breaking down all of the nutrients inside of the food. So raw food is imperative for all of us to have more life into our body. If you want to live long, you need more raw food into your so-called diet. But if you want to have less life or less vitality, less energy, less ATP inside the body to produce energy, then you would cook more of your food or you would eat just dead food. Things that, if you notice in nature, everything has life in it. Like, let's just take water, for example, right? Water is electrically charged. It has minerals. It has life in it. But when you do certain processes to it, you can take the life out of it. Now you just get the water. It's just like the body. We have a vessel here that we navigate this avatar. But without the soul, without the life inside of the body, it doesn't have any motion in it. So if I leave my soul out the vessel, out the vehicle here, it won't walk. It's the soul that's really pushing us along. It's just like a person getting behind a car. It's the individual behind the car that's driving the vehicle. Somebody's out the car, the life is out the car can't move unless we're talking AI, of course. But so that's the same thing with your fruits and your vegetables. Once you cook things above about 118 degrees, you start to really diminish a lot of the nutrients in your food.
Okay, cool. Like there are definitely levels to this whole food plant-based lifestyle for real.
Mhm.
I'm simply whole food plant-based. I try to be as on the alkaline side as possible, but I do eat some foods that aren't on the list of, quote unquote alkaline because
Mhm.
I believe, you could still be healthy. But if you want to take it to the next level, I believe that, the way you're doing it is definitely beneficial. Um,
Yeah, it's truly about balancement. It's about balance.
yes.
But I
Yeah.
just like to educate the people on understanding what nutrition is and like how to actually get it. And you
Hmm.
can still get it from your cooked foods, but when you look it up in angstroms, and you're looking at the angstroms of energy that you'll get from your living food, you're gonna get about 10,000 angstroms of energy from your raw food. Once you start cooking it, it goes down to 7 or 8. Once you get to like other things like dairy, meat, and eggs, you start to get to like pretty much 0 to a few hundred to 1,000. I mean, you're really not getting much vitality, and this is why a lot of people are lethargic or
Yeah.
have a lot of health issues. So yeah.
Hmm. For sure. So, Brian, I want you to, just talk to the audience about who you are. I know you since you were a guest on our episode, like our first visual episode. You talked about, how eating plant-based kind of helped you in your boxing career and your recovery time, et cetera. Can you talk a little bit about that for those that don't know you?
Well, yeah. So basically, I when I turned plant based, I was taking a very big chance because I was already within a promising career, and changing my diet during that time was very risky. But I believe so much in in the efficiency of changing the diet that I actually did it, and I thrived on it. And it's one of the things that I understand is that it's like a lot of times most people say, "Oh, you're going to get skinny, you're going to get this," and be like, "Nah, um, that hasn't really happened." You may lose different type of weight, but then actually you gain it in a way. I've never lost weight per se, but certain aspects of your body. But then I always tell people to say, okay, you can weight train and muscle train to be able to like, gain whatever parts of your body that you want. But to me, I think that, being 40 years old, and still doing everything that I used to do, back then, um, I think I can credit that to my diet. I think I can credit, like the look or the clarity in the thinking and all these different aspects of it. I think I can credit that to my diet. And I look forward to doing this for many more years to come and to be able to preserve myself in the best of way based off of what I'm eating. And at some point graduate, to your level, Haim, because I understand that there are levels to it, and I understand and believe completely everything that you spoke when you mentioned about your level of diet. But it's hard. It's not as easy. It's just a mindset. But being plant based, all and I'm like a whole food plant based type person. It's like I don't do the soy either. I don't do like the heavy processed foods and stuff like that. I don't do any of that either. So because there is a difference. A lot of people would they would do like the Beyond and all that other stuff. Like I don't really get into that either. Um, so yeah, I think that me being a top athlete in the world, and if you was to ask anybody that boxed or anybody that was around, and they would ask you who's the most conditioned fighter or who's the most conditioned athlete that you know personally, and it would be me. And I think that I can actually credit that, especially the back end of that onto my vegan diet. So I recommend it to for anybody to be able to do what we do.
Awesome. You brought up a controversial topic is soy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, kind of steer clear of that, but it's mixed reviews. I've had guests on the show that say they eat soy, that the phytoestrogens are actually beneficial. And then I've had people on the show that are completely against it. Me personally, I avoid it. And the reason I avoid it is because of the fact that 98% of it is genetically modified.
Right.
And the fact that it's genetically modified is one piece, but the fact that they use certain herbicides that, studies show are known to be cancerous, known to be endocrine disruptors, known to be inflammatory. That's why I personally avoid it, but I've spoken to people that have had success with, eating soy. And Korin, I did look at your page. I looked at all of y'all's pages, and I do know you do consume soy. So can you talk to us about, why that's a staple in your diet?
Oh yeah, I mean you basically said it yourself. Majority of when it comes to soy and let's talk about like the genetically modified, like that part right there is mostly for food. The soy for that's genetically modified is the one that's actually being fed to animals. So it's not so much for human consumption. Because when it comes to, especially in the United States, soy consumption is one of the lowest foods that is being consumed. So the ones that is available for human consumption is perfectly safe to consume. And when it comes to the studies, as you mentioned, yeah, like there's tons of benefits behind it. It doesn't grow man boobies. There's really no study that actually showed that type of effect. It definitely doesn't play any effect in the hormones. Also, as well, it's a good source of iodine, so it's really good for your thyroid production. It helps with bone density as well, especially for women because it has a lot of isoflavones in it, and it's also high in calcium. So there's a lot of benefits in it. Also, soy helps with reducing breast and prostate cancer, and it also blocks stronger parts of estrogen as well. So there's a lot of benefits behind it, and that's why I consume it. I've been consuming it for over 13 years. And if it was ever an issue, if we kind of look around the world when it comes to blue zone studies, the eastern part of the world is more of a higher consumption of soy, and and their issue is longevity. So you don't see, I hate saying it, but like you're not seeing a bunch of Asian men having any type of health related issues when it comes to soy consumption. So when it comes down to individuals' choices of what they want to do, I mean that's up to them, but it's basically a bias of what they're going for, moving more towards versus scientific studies. And that's what I do. Like I'm a sport nutritionist. I have a degree in exercise science and physiology. Also, I'm a three-time pro bodybuilder. Never had an issue consuming soy, especially as a black man. So if I can do it, I think a lot of other people could do it, but it is a choice and it's based off each individual. And that's basically it.
Yeah, okay, so I've heard. I'm sorry, but I've heard that perspective before. But also, can you explain, or the difference between the fermented soy that the Eastern, the Asians and all that stuff, that they do versus the
The Asians aren't
GMO
genetically
soy?
modified either. Theirs
Huh?
isn't genetically modified in Asia. Ours is, and it is
Right, ours
it
is
is for
right.
human consumption too. I was just, talking about what he was saying. We are consuming that soy that's genetically modified.
The
They're not
bad one, right,
consuming the
right. Because
genetically modified in Asia.
the fermented soy that you will find within the Asian community. This is a question: is it the same? Which I don't assume it's the same, but I asking you as a question: is it the same, or what's the difference between the fermented soy versus the American soy, the GMO stuff?
Actually, me personally, I mean the ones that's in the grocery stores, I mean it's non-GMO and organic. So when it say it's genetically modified, I don't know what other anything beyond that because from my knowledge, I mean it's non-GMO and organic. So anything beyond that, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And when it comes to fermentation, you could find fermented soy here in the United States as well, and it's available in grocery stores as well. So, and with fermentation, it would be better than just your normal soy because anything that's fermented, you're going to get more pro and prebiotics from it. So that's some of the benefits behind it. And there's a little bit of extra nutrients, but like, that's from my knowledge. Like that's as deep as it goes for
Mm.
me. But like when it comes down to just like stapling it as like it's genetically modified and soy consumption here, like that's beyond my knowledge.
I think the fermentation is a more natural process that they use in Asia than, the way we do things, which is more industrialized. And like you said, they have more probiotics.
But
And
how would it be industrialized? Because when it comes to tofu, like you can make it at your home. And when it comes to from an industry point of view, if I was building a business and I started at my house and I'm trying to mass produce it, the only difference would be from machinery, but it doesn't make it any more processed from having a machine do it versus doing it at home. Because when it comes to making tofu, it's just soybeans. And what you're doing is you're extracting the starch and the protein and you're separating that. You're just
I,
isolating it.
I think the real big issue is the fact that these main crops that are genetically modified is soy, wheat, and corn. And they're
Mhm.
posing real issues. I don't know if you're familiar with Monsanto, but
Very familiar.
they got recently acquired by I think Bayer. But I mean, if you're familiar with them, you know that they're a chemical company, and they basically created Agent Orange for Vietnam War. So they are not exactly the most upstanding company, um, and I don't know how things are going in agriculture since they acquired that company. But these genetically modified organisms are not exactly compatible with human life. Um, and there are issues that are occurring because of it. And gluten is also one of them. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think the genetically modified crops are a total rabbit hole that we can go down. But I
For
do want to
sure.
touch on some other subjects and some
Yeah,
other
yeah, but I first wanted to hear Heem's perspective on the soy, if he had any, because we all shared our perspectives on soy. So
Yeah, for me, brother, I don't consume soy. I do definitely hear his perspective on not labeling everything as what it is, but from my perspective, I'm being honest, we're keeping it real. The United States has terrible, terrible, terrible situation when it comes to the food. We got label laws as well, where they just be labeling stuff organic and putting a little number 9 on there. Half of it is the same batch from the unorganic produce. A lot of this produce, even if it is organic, sprayed on. I done gotten organic coconuts that have been coming from the island that are still dipped before they get here. So when you touch the coconut before you crack them, you get a lot of this chemical composition on top of the coconut before you even open it. So really, it's okay to drink what's inside, but once you touch it, the chemicals hit through your skin. So there's so many different processes that a lot of the food goes through beyond just soy in general that is majorly tampered with. Now, even though I consume my raw food, I do my best to clean my vegetables, clean my fruits. A blueberry is another one. They put pesticides on blueberries out the chain because they know that's neurological brain food. Now,
Mm.
soy is on such a lower scale to what's really going to be nutritious for the body. And I think that yeah, they're definitely messing with it. There's a lot of GMO soy out there from my take on it. And Bill Gates, he soy crops all day. That's what he bought a lot of the land in California for. Soy is a big industry. That's why veganism, you put soy in everything, soy chicken, soy mock this, soy mock that. That is because they're buying into the fact that they know the consciousness is rising on the planet. So therefore, they know that okay, everybody's going back into get it right with their health. But in order for us to still get our dollar, we need to get on this wave. So they get in with the soy, and that's why you got soy meat when you go to Taco Bell, or soy meat when you go to some of these places that got vegan meats. It's gonna be soy. Chipotle, they vegan meat is soy. It's tofu. That's gonna be the staple all day. So in my opinion, I would say that yeah, a lot of it's GMO, a lot of it's been tampered with. And my rule of thumb, I even though I eat certain things, I don't trust everything just because I'm not touching it. It didn't come from me. None of us own these laboratories, so I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I
May,
so
may I
that's my
say
opinion.
something though? May I say something? Like we're just putting a mass, like the things I'm hearing right now is just a mass like excuse, and I hear it all the time. And the thing is
Mhm.
that it's not actual facts. Like naming Bill Gates and spraying Monsanto and all this stuff. There's other companies that's organically made. So, for example, like Tofurky, they have their own farm located in
That's
Turkey,
true. That's
USA.
true. That's
So,
true.
and
That
their
is true.
soybeans are non-GMO. We have Wildwood Farms,
That's
which is
true.
grown in California, which is organic soybeans. They make their own stuff there. And if you know California, they have one of the strictest laws when it comes to environment. They're a lot better than most states. You have Nasoya, which is also in the United States. They grow their own soybeans. This is non-GMO and organic, which is located in the Midwest. You have Hoodoo Foods, which is located in Oakland, California. Again, they own their own farm that's organic and non-GMO. So like this is why
Mhm.
I'm saying soy is fine and it's not the lowest scale. It's like it's too hard to sit here and listen to that
The
and
reason
start
why I say the reason why
demonizing
I say
food.
it's on my bad. I don't mean to interrupt your wisdom, but the reason why I say is one of the things on the lowest scale because when you're talking about the most nutritious food on the entire planet, that's going to be your fruits. That's the highest highs you can get to. Beans and things, everything has its place. But when you're getting to your most highest nutritional food on the planet, especially for melanated people, we speaking on our culture. We are carbon. We are carbon beings. We are melanated beings. If you look at the chemical composition and the composition of fruits, that is carbon. It's pure carbon. It is melanin. When you see that pigment on that blueberry, that is plant melanin inside of the blueberry. So when you're talking about what foods are really going to be, they're going to elevate your neurological system. They're going to clean your gut. They're going to give you, a hydration and maximum amounts of minerals, as far as also good antioxidants for the body. You're going in your fruits. So when we talk about soy, to me, it's cool. It's a cool conversation, but it's not the cream of the creme. You know what I'm saying? We talk about fruits and vegetables alone on another end. We can eat vegetables, but even that, if you notice when we take herbs, we break them down in capsules or tinctures because they have a lot of heavy cellulose, inside of them. So we have to break them down to consume them because our body doesn't really process vegetation the same way that other animals do. So, in my personal perspective, I would say if we talk about cream of the creme, we talk about fruits. Soy is that's the least thing that we should be worried about as far as like what's going to nutritionally build the biophysical structure the strongest way. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Uh, I mean, I totally understand that, but the question was about soy. It wasn't about fruits and vegetables.
No,
That-
no,
No,
but the
yeah,
thing,
no, no, no. You said
because
something
if we're
about
talking
as
about
far as yeah,
nutrient density, I agree. But if we're
right.
talking about is soy bad for you, I disagree. Because
I respect it.
that's
I
what we were
respect it.
on the topic
no,
on,
no, yeah, yeah,
and we're
but I
switching.
mean, we didn't necessarily say it was so bad. We just gave our reasons for not
Yeah,
messing with
not
it,
listening.
People mention glyphosates and Billy Gates, and
Glyphosate.
I
Okay,
know
okay.
these
Glyphosate.
are buzzwords. These are
But
Well,
buzzwords.
the thing
And
Okay,
is, but
people
there's
stay
a,
away
there's still
from
a
it.
reality though. That's the thing. So what I
yeah,
respect what
right.
he's saying is that not all companies are producing their things the same, and that's fair because there's a lot of different. We got companies that are in Costco that produce chocolate, and we got companies that are at home that are in Whole Foods produce chocolate. they all doing different things. Some put milk in them, some don't. So I respect your perspective because at the end of the day, not everyone is producing the products the same way. Not every product is coming out the same way because it's not all coming from the same chain. That's what he was saying, and I do respect that. Not every single product is coming from the same place.
Yeah, yeah, well understood. I do want to ask all of you guys, like, what are some of the issues that you think men really face? Now, I could go based off of what I see in the hospital every single day.
Mhm.
I know the common diseases and the common, illness that come in the emergency department every day. But what do y'all see amongst your friends, your family? Like, what's the biggest issue you think men face when it comes to their health?
Ignorance. I think not only just with men, I just think with humans, period, it's the ignorance, and it could be it could be an aspect of fear, or stepping out of their comfort, or just a lack of influence when it comes to, because sometimes they do things, and as long as they're getting by with it, they're okay with it, and as long as the effects is not happening like right now or right away,
Mhm.
they're playing Russian roulette with it, and every single time that someone falls into, a sickness or illness, then that's when they want to jump up and say, "Oh my God, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that." So they understand it. It's just, I guess, it's just not. It's not cool, and it's not made trendy, or it's not that influential to be able to really, truly, truly take care of your health.
Mhm.
So you're saying it's not a masculine trait to actually care about the food that you're putting in your body?
Well, I basically took it away from just men and just made it a human thing, because women are the same way. So it's a man and woman thing. So it's technically like a human being thing, to the point where it's like, if I tell somebody I'm eating quinoa, they say, "What's that, quinoa?" And they talk down
Right,
on it. I
right,
don't
right.
want that, and you just be like, cool. It's not cool for you. It's not
Right.
the thing. You're not gonna find it at Eddie V's. Or, no, I'm sorry. You're not gonna find it at wherever they go at, or wherever they get, wherever they get their food at. So it's not a trendy thing. It's not an influential thing to be able to be more health conscious when it comes to your food. And so they always do when they become sick. So you, being in the health and the medical field, you understand that these people come and they have to be told, "Hey, you're gonna have to, change your diet. You're gonna have to, you can't be doing this, or your levels is this, your levels is that." And now that's when they gotta come meet one of us, and get these lectures, and and hopefully they do good, because the moment they start to see it get a little bit better, now that's when they dipping back into the old ways. So
Hmm. Okay. So, Corinne, can you
Yeah,
tell us, like, maybe like what you see? Um,
absolutely. One
Whatever.
of it, one of it is mostly toxic masculinity overall. You know, we're brought into a culture where men can't show emotions. So, for example, if I talk about animals and caring for animals, it makes me look weak, because I'm showing emotion, I'm showing love to another being that's inferior, and inferiority could be a different perspective, right? Because I don't think a lion would be inferior, like, but like the thing is that when men express and show emotion, it shows like we're not being masculine, we're weak, or being more passive aggressive, because meat, when we were brought in a society that like cavemen eat meat, even when it comes to ads, like a lot of ads, especially in the early 2000s, even in the 90s, sexuality and meat was blended together to push a narrative like you have to eat meat if you want to be more manly. Like that was a big narrative, especially like big fast food companies.
Mhm.
And when this is pushed, and men, even to this day, that like if you decide to go plant-based or even vegetarian, you're considered less of a man. And, no, and like, because I know I get heat from it all the time. And you're talking to a war vet, someone who does bodybuilding, like I have muscles, I'm shredded. But people will still come out with a narrative and judge me and disqualify everything that I've done, and still say like I'm less aggressive, less dominant as sorry, as a man. So that's another thing. So this is something that, I feel where that masculinity is coming from when it comes to being vegan or being plant-based. But I always counteract and say this, like when I was in war and being in the military, there's certain things that I pledge my life to. One of them is you have to protect anything that's foreign and domestic, right? When you're in the military, we're not just we know we're not just attackers. It's not always offense, offense. It's a lot of defense. You know, we practice more defense than actual offense. You know what I'm saying? Because we're here to protect. Like, yes, we have to get aggressive, but our main duty is to protect, because when we protect, we create what? Retention. So when you take over something, you have to hold it down. So when it comes to protecting, and when you're in war, we have rules of engagement. We follow the rules of the Geneva Convention, right? So it doesn't matter if even if I got a bad guy, it's not a game. It's not like I'm going to pop him. If he gave up, I'm going to do my duty, arrest him, and secure him and protect him. I'm not just going to execute. But a lot of people feel this is the lifestyle that we live, right? So when with that type of mindset that I have, I took that same mindset and put to animals, because the animals are inferior. Like you have cows, chickens, pigs, fish. I hope to God, like you know, what's it called? When you come back as another being. What is that called again? Um, can someone help me out here? When you die and come back as another
Oh,
Reincarnation?
yeah,
reincarnation.
reincarnation. Oh, to God,
Okay, okay.
reincarnation is not real. Because if it is, you're in hell on earth.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And because if you come back as one of these animals, that's hell. And no one's protecting them. No one's speaking for their voice.
Mm,
And that's why as a man, I would say like a true man understands love, compassion, and protection. And it
facts.
starts with the fork. It starts
Facts.
Absolutely.
right with the plate that you eat. It starts right there.
Yeah.
And that's what I just applied to my life, and that's how I saw it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's my take.
Mm,
Yeah. I want to hear from him too, what you see. I did want to tell you, Korin, that for me, it started with health and my health and human beings. But as I continue to eat plant-based, I guess my consciousness elevated and I started to have more empathy for the animals as well. Like, yeah, they're beings too. Like, what can we not share this earth and like not kill, the like you said, the inferior beings, like they deserve life too. But
Mhm.
can you tell us what you think you see in the community as well?
absolutely. Corinne, I just want to say that was very honorable. I definitely resonate with what you just said. Love, protection, provision, things of that sort. That is the essence of what a man is supposed to be.
No doubt.
And just how you just explained, it starts with the fork, is a staple that I think most people need to grasp onto because man, reincarnation coming back as an animal and see how they treat animals. Oh boy, that's a perspective right there in
Mhm.
itself.
Yeah.
You get so mistreated, it would be ridiculous. And for myself, I started with my health. It was a health thing for me. I was going through certain sicknesses and illnesses, is why I ended up healing myself, going on a journey, and then ended up becoming an herbalist and deciding that this is something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But as far as like men's health and just what we really go through and what we struggle with, I would definitely say that meat is definitely tied into that aspect, as everybody just said, because that's what they see as masculine. If you're not hunting something, if you're not killing something, you're not in masculinity. And I think that there's a fine line with that. It's protection, but you protect what you need to protect, but you don't just kill just to kill. You feel what I'm saying? Like if something's coming to your home and it's trying to get at your family, you go ahead and do what you need to do then. But I think we have a culture which is a death culture, down to the food, down to how we treat our brothers and sisters in the street. The whole thing has been curated for us to be on demon time, is what they like to say. You know what I'm saying? So I think what he said is really on point. I can't really say much better than what he said. Corinne said it perfectly. Love, peace, prosperity, protection, provision, and just knowing the aspect of what he said as far as like when he was in battle. You capture that soldier, you don't just kill the soldier, you go, you do your duty after that. We have such a culture of killing, 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 and killing, and we don't give nobody another chance to survive. And
Yeah.
I think we need to reshift that consciousness.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are a variety of mental health issues that I wanted to discuss. I know that some of you have to leave at 4:30, but I did want to touch on these actual disease processes that I see on a daily basis that are, the number one killers of Black men in particular. Cardiovascular disease
Oh yeah.
kills Black men at the highest rate.
Mhm.
Hypertension, prostate cancer. And also, as men age, they develop BPH, but that's something that's preventable as well. Um, so, in colorectal cancer as well. I don't know if you guys see it on the level that I do. I'm sure you don't because I'm in the healthcare field, but I did want to talk about these particular disease processes. Colorectal cancer is one that I see often as well. And the diet, of course, it plays a big part. Chronic inflammation.
Mhm.
And meat eating, like you mentioned, I think people don't understand the effects that meat have on them because, meat is something that has been consumed for centuries. But um, there is this fad diet called the carnivore diet that I think is like a recipe for colorectal cancer. Like
Absolutely.
I'm just like, what is going on? Why is this a thing? Like, I don't know if y'all have spoken to anyone, but I want to know your perspective on it. Um, I just know that you're increasing your risk for gout, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, high cholesterol, heart attack, stroke. What are y'all's perspective on this diet? Do you think it's something they just threw out there to see how we take it, or what? Like, what is this thing?
I'll start. The diet of the carnivore diet, it is a real thing. Let's just be real. It's a real thing. It comes from a certain culture, more of a Caucasian culture. They have a higher stomach acid than we do as melanated people. So it's really their diet. They grew up eating like that. For us, we grew up eating things from trees and from plants. So we have a completely different yeah, completely different, I would say, genetics as far as what we should be consuming and what they should be consuming. So is that diet for us? I would say no. Is the diet for them? I would say yes. I think that they can absolutely consume that diet and get benefits from it. I see, plenty of Caucasians that eat beef liver for iron, and it helps them out tremendously. Would that help us? No, it wouldn't. What's going to happen is you're gonna feel a boost of something for a certain amount of time, and then over time, as your body starts to deteriorate, you're gonna start feeling the effects. You're gonna start to feel the acidic blowback. And so, yeah, we have the highest disease rates. If you even look at melanated people, we have the highest disease rates in every category. That's due to the food that we are eating because we are not meat eaters. This is not, our teeth aren't designed that way. The digestive system's not designed that way. We don't walk on all fours. So, I mean, when you're looking at it just from a conscious perspective, I mean, we have no business eating meat regardless. And then now you look at the statistics on how much we have our disease rates, they're at the all-time high. Even suicide is at the all-time high. So it's a big thing for sure. And I would say that we need to definitely reshift the consciousness on that. We have to educate ourselves because not everybody eats the same diet, not everyone has the same culture. So just because one person does it doesn't mean it's good for us to do. I hear that a lot of the time when I'm talking to certain clients. They'll be like, oh, well, Jimmy lived till he was 80 years old eating this. That doesn't mean that you should just go follow behind his footsteps. You might be from a different ethnic background, or you might just have a different I would say different genetics. Somebody might get cancer, somebody might get diabetes. You know what I'm saying? People, and they progress at different rates depending on how much you eat, whether you smoke, whether you drink. There's so many different variables. So just understanding the actual so-called diet or liver that you're supposed to be on will help us have a proper foundation to guide us in the right direction.
Do y'all have any thoughts, Bryant or Corinne, about
But I
this
mean,
diet?
my thoughts is basically, to each his own. And like Heem said, people always use other people like, oh, such and such live till, a certain amount of years until then. But as long as we become more in tune with our bodies, because sometimes there are certain types of people that thrive in life without any issues with just eating anything. You know, but I don't think that people really try to, enhance themselves in a way where, with certain people, just where we look to different aspects of diet and health to be able to enhance ourselves even more. So to each his own is pretty much the way to put that. But me personally, of course, I don't believe that that's the thing. But I do understand that there's different blood types, different body types, different things that each individual or each ethnicity could be able to intake or not or whatever, based off of, your geographical, thing wherever you're from or whatever. It don't matter, like your climate. So for me, it's to each his own, but definitely I don't stand behind it. I don't recommend it, and I would wonder how them people smell. But
That part.
yeah, that part.
For real though.
Corinne, what you think?
I mean, I personally feel a lot of diets work, but I'm not with the keto or the carnivore diet. Like those are the two diets I just don't agree. Reasons is one of the reasons, just there's not enough scientific studies backing it up. So anyone that's trying these diets, you're the guinea pig. So you'll find out what happens when it happens. But one of the reasons why it's popular because we're promoting a diet that goes into people desires. Like we're already considered number one. We were before even the carnivore keto, but we were already considered number one as the highest meat consumption. Also, as well, we're considered number one when it comes to health related diseases as well. So I always say, like, we have to kind of correlate the two. And when I do presentations, I always ask people, like, how many people have heart disease in their family, who has cancers in their families, who has diabetes. Everyone raises their hands. And then the next question is, and your doctor probably told you have bad genetics. Now look around. So does everyone just have bad genetics? Is that the case? And
No,
then
we
people,
have bad food.
yeah,
Right, for real.
it's the
Right,
food, right?
right.
So after that, when it comes to my take on the whole carnivore thing, the reason we see it's trending and it's blowing up and some people are trying it out is because it's easy.
Yeah.
We live in a country where we want things fast, but we want something that's simplistic, easy, simple. And it's not just the carnivore diet, it's just health and fitness in overall. Like every time there's a new pill or a new trend that's supposed to be easy, people jump onto it,
Absolutely.
you know? So there's one of the reasons why, because simplicity. And people do lose weight from it. Why? Because if you're looking at macronutrients, which are large nutrients that's vital for the body function, like your protein, carbs, and fat, if you're eliminating
Hmm.
like one of them, which is the carbs, which a lot of people in America are carb junkies. They eat a lot of starches and junk food, right? And you eliminate that, say just eat meat. Of course, people are going to see results from that because they're automatically putting themselves in what? A calorie deficit, right?
Hmm.
By eliminating the carbohydrates and only focusing on animal products, right? Then also as well, people who has like any type of autoimmune diseases, they might feel relief from it. Of course, because it's an elimination diet. You're taking away anything that's allergenic, soy, gluten, anything you could think about, like nuts, any kind of dairy. You're eliminating all allergens. So again, that's going to create what? More attention to a lot of people. because someone who's dairy, who's allergic to dairy, they can jump on it. Someone who's allergic to soy or gluten, they could jump on it. Someone who's allergic to nuts and seeds, they can jump on it, right? So it's just it's a diet where technically it's hypoallergenic almost, right? So of course people are going to see relief with inflammation reducing in the beginning, right? So there's a lot of short time benefits, but the things that people don't realize is that they still need to incorporate plant-based foods in their diet. Now, I would wish that the whole world would go plant-based, but that's not the reality. But I do feel that majority of people should incorporate majority of their food whole foods plant-based at least, you know, because what they're missing is they're missing a lot of nutrients. You can't get all your micronutrients on a carnivore diet. It's missing. It's missing vitamin C, magnesium, phytonutrients, fiber,
Polyphenols.
antioxidants, potassium. You're missing these ingredients. So long term, it's not going to last. That, and then on the other side, like you mentioned about the diseases, right? People with high cholesterol, blood pressure, heart disease, colon cancer, right? After a long period of time of just consuming high amounts of meat because it is highly acidic, these can happen because it does what? It puts stress on the kidneys, right?
Absolutely.
So long term, it's not healthy. Okay. It has short term benefits, but it's not healthy. And then the craziest thing is that you have some doctors out there that's telling you the opposite against all medical studies. That makes it even more eye catching because when it comes to marketing, because I do social media, I know marketing a lot. I'm like really good at it. It's like anything you could say, like the government is cheating, people like conspiracies. It's an eye catcher. Yeah. If you're saying government is trying to kill you and they want you to eat plants, the plants are trying to kill you, you have to eat the meat. That's going to get people's attention. Conspiracy theories. Yeah. And you have doctors who's pushing this trend and telling you like even with not just with the food, but even with blood work. You have doctors telling people that if you have high LDL, they're they're just trying to push medications on you, but high LDL is actually healthy. And it's like, according to all medical science, high LDL is not healthy, dude. You know, like the reason they put you on a meds because your LDL is high, and they're trying to bring it lower because you're not doing the proper things when it comes to your lifestyle to make it low. But rather trying to teach and educate, they rather find and lie and twist the lie and then say the medications is trying to kill you and then put you on a diet which raises LDL and total cholesterol and saturated fats and then flip the whole script. So when information gets twisted, people are attentive to that, especially after the whole COVID pandemic. A lot of people don't trust a lot of information these days.
Yeah. The medication peddling propaganda is a thing for sure. I mean, even with these GLP-1 drugs, it's like, how about manage your glucose? How about that? Like, just a thought. But
Mhm.
we live in this country, so but I do want to just talk about the fact that meat eating can increase your prostate and hyperplasia can occur. And, like we mentioned, as you age, these things can happen, but you can avoid them on a plant-based diet because, the growth factor hormones kick in once you start eating a bunch of meat and can increase your chance of that and may put you in a place where you have to have some surgery that is very uncomfortable. I take care of these guys, like, or like prostate cancer, having to have a three-way catheter put in because you're bleeding everywhere.
Right.
It's very gruesome and graphic, and it can be avoided. And I think, like Bryant mentioned, it's a lot of ignorance because people think these things just happen and they don't just happen. over time, chronically, you're not, taking care of your body in a way that is beneficial, and you end up in a hospital bed. But to go back to some of the issues that men face, I did want to talk about erectile dysfunction. We need to
Mhm.
talk to the young guys about this. Do y'all have any thoughts? Do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really goes down to the food. I mean, it's all connected to the food at the end of the day. It's just like we're talking about the meats, you know. My rule of thumb is if you eat death, you're gonna get death, and you eat life, you're gonna get life. You can't expect life from death. That's just what it is. You're consuming something that it bothers my mind because I don't think anyone uses their brain nowadays. I think they just follow what's been taught or told, and we don't even question who's teaching or telling us these things. Where are these curriculums, these books, these schools? Who owns these schools? Who's funding these schools? Things of that sort, right? And so, we eating all this meat, all of these acids, but at the end of the day, these meats are dead. And last time I checked, if somebody dies, we usually bury them or do a ceremony of some sort. Since when did the body become a grave site for dead bodies? It shouldn't have never been. And so this is what's causing a lot of these things. Now, erectile dysfunction, that's a whole thing. I mean, you got a lot of chemical warfare going on inside the water supply with all these plastic bottles and BPA's. You have the government putting atrazine inside the water supply as well, and especially a lot of melanated areas like Atlanta, Chicago, and et cetera, et cetera. Atrazine is a chemical that has been studied by Tyrone Haynes. You can look him up on YouTube. That literally basically genetically modifies the sexual organs and male and females.
Endocrine disruptor. Yep.
And disruptor, exactly. So there's so many things that they're doing to us. It's called chemical castration. There's so many things they're doing to us on a chemical level that is actually causing these issues as well. This is why we need activated charcoal, parsley, cilantro, certain things that can detox these chemicals out of us. Forever chemicals as well that they have in a lot of the water supply and other things. So it's really a chemical thing that they're doing because they're not only hitting us with the foods and getting us to buy into the meats and the dairy and the eggs, things that they know for sure that don't help the body heal or to, regenerate cells or heal, cleanse the cells, make the kidneys work better, things that we need to actually make our body function. You got a chemical aspect too, where they're hitting us through your hair products, your lipsticks. I mean, and that's for women and men. I mean, every aspect is chemical castration in every aspect.
Yeah, it's definitely biochemical warfare going on. We can't
Sure.
we can't deny it. I mean, it is evident. And mentioned that people aren't thinking it's because they can't. Like they really don't have the proper nutrients and the proper, um, functioning of their bodies to be able to think straight. So it's easy to just go along with whatever is being told to you because you can't
Absolutely.
think. But Corinne,
I
I think
think
you were about to say something.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I 100% agree with Haim. He's absolutely correct. But I like to also add, like, it kind of goes on the same lines on with the carnivore diet and just high consumption of red meat and processed meat. If and I'm not saying like you can't eat it 100%, but like again, it's about how much are you eating, right? So I always say like if you're doing red meat, if you decide to eat red meat, processed meat, you want to keep that at the minimal as possible and then incorporate more of a plant, like because I have clients who actually consumes animal byproducts, but we call it more of a plant forward diet. So majority of the foods that they are eating, which is about 80%, is whole foods plant based. As high consumption of it is high saturated fat and cholesterol. And
Hmm.
and I mean, we learned this when we were like in fifth grade, sixth grade. It's like I don't know. I feel like everyone's been sleeping in those classes, but it, your blood vessels is like your blood vessels in your arteries is like a hose. And if you start putting a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol there, is what happens. It starts building up plaque, right? And when that starts happening, then the first sign, the first symptom of any type of disease is ED. You know, that's the first thing because the smallest arteries is in the privates, and this is for both men and women. Because some people think ED is only men related. There's ED for women as well, and it works the same way. It's all blood flow. And if we have too much plaque in the system, it starts building a lot of pressure in the heart, in the blood, and it starts clogging up the arteries, clogging up, slowing down blood flow, which creates that. And then also as well, when it comes to eating meat, it's slowing nitric oxide. So a lot
Absolutely.
of plant-based foods has nitric oxide. That's what's going to help keep the vessels more dilated. So you want to be able to incorporate more plant-based foods. So even if you're incorporating the meat, you need something to clear that stuff out. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the reasons why I'm 100% vegan, plant-based, because why I'm going to eat something that has potential causes. You know? Why I need to try to find that balance? I'm not trying to find a balance. I'd rather just eliminate it 100%, make my life a lot easier, right? So that's some of the things that I feel when it comes down to that. And again, with Haim, it is a hormone disruptor as well because all the crap they put inside the meat, you know, is highly inflammatory. It creates a lot of oxidative stress within the body, and then also lowers blood sperm count. I mean, not blood, lower sperm count as well. And there's individuals who even push this lifestyle and they had to start incorporating more plant-based foods into their diet because of those issues. And they still to this day make content still pushing to consume more red meat. So it says a lot about the system, about the information that we're getting today, and some of the people that actually are some of the leaders that actually push this type of lifestyle and to incorporate more meat where we need to start eating less.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys' take, but it's another aspect that makes it even worse when people not only do like the heavy red meats, is when they do the drugs,
Oh
like
yeah.
the drinking, the smoking excessively, and then the lack of exercise, and then more importantly, I guess the most uncommon reason for ED could be the wrong woman, right? Because like
We
it
can
was one
always
time.
count on you for comic relief. Okay.
Huh?
Go on.
No, these are all different aspects, so these are adding to it because I don't want people to see this segment and be like, oh damn, so they only like 100% like focus that on that. I'm like, no, there's that, and then there's other reasons that make it. Some shit might be lip, then they should might be lip if they do this shit. So technically, all of these things are. I'm bringing forth information that could bring this shit back up. You get me? Like if they reading this, so they can listen to all three of us to bring it
Facts.
back up. So they
You
be like, yo,
can
I stop eating meat. I eat this now, I eat that now, and my shit still ain't. All right, stop doing the drugs, okay? But I'm just giving
It's a
another.
good point. That's a good point. And I
He's
know
right
that
though.
Korin, you have to go, or whoever has to go at 4:30. But I did want to just mention one thing too, is I think there are a lot of men that have these pot bellies too. And adipose tissue, I don't think people realize that it's an active endocrine gland. Like it secretes hormones as well. And it actually converts androgens into estrogens. Like
Mm,
having too much visceral fat, that
Yes.
happens.
Yes.
So I think people don't realize that it's not just that you're consuming hormones. If you're too fat, your actual fat is converting your androgens into female hormone. And, you know, as we all know, estrogenic issues deal with cancer, etc. So, you know, but like I said, I know you guys have to go. It is 4:30, but I just wanted to know if anybody had any parting words, any last thing that they wanted to say before we part.
Well, guess the parting words is just for people to just take in consideration of this conversation. Go do your own research. Go do your own extended research. Make sure you take care of yourself. Your health is your wealth. Your body is your temple. Um, and we have to try to live efficiently and effectively, for the rest of our existing lives. Period.
Heem, you got any last parting words?
I do. I just want to let the people know that search for the truth. and don't be biased to what you want the truth to be, but just search for the truth, you know, and question everything, because we live in a society and a realm right now where there's a lot of tricksters. The people that you think are telling you the truth are telling you the lies, and the people you think are telling you the lies are oftentimes telling you the truth. So you gotta, you know, rule of thumb, at least try it out for yourself. Try it out, see how you feel. Don't be biased to anything. If you're on a carnivore diet now, try plant-based. Maybe try raw, try fasting. Try different things out, see how it works within your body, and use your divine, you know, intuition and discernment, and go upon that journey. Go upon that journey, because you will oftentimes find, if you at least test things out, this will negate all the questions of what everybody else is telling you, and your spirit will guide you, and your body will guide you in the right direction, because your body's always speaking to you. So listen to it. That's the best balancement I can give everybody, so that they can guide themselves the best way, because I know what I'm doing, and I know how the ancestors and, you know, plenty of elders and teachers have guided me to get on this journey that I'm on now. But yeah, just try it out. Try raw food. Try carnivore diet if you want to. See how your body reacts. And you'll find that you're better off, most likely, on the plant-based side, because fruits and vegetables are here to heal you. Fruits are, you know, for energizing, for really mineralizing and rebuilding the body. And vegetables are really here to basically cleanse the body and basically purge the body of all impurities, you know, and watch out for parasites, which is in meats. I mean, do your research, y'all. You have to know not only what you're eating, just because it's chicken, what does the chicken have in it? Does it have parasites? Is it pesticides? Is it, you know, it's a whole thing. So educate yourself, and try it out, and find your way on your journey, you know, in your divinity. So that's what I would say.
Korin, any last words?
Yeah, I mean, I always say ask the right questions. You know, definitely ask the right questions. When you're looking for whatever type of dietary lifestyle that you want to get into, ask the right ones, because that's one of the things that really got me to move more towards a whole foods plant-based diet. Like, what are the diets that has actual negative effects? And when you start looking into that versus like, is plant-based diet is healthy, then asking that question, ask what diets has scientific studies that actually proves if it's healthy or not. And what you'll notice is that you're going to find more studies promoting a whole foods plant-based diet
Mhm.
than an animal-based diet. Like, you're going to see it over and over and over again. You might find some studies saying like, oh, meat might be better than this, but in the whole generalization of things, you're going to find more studies supporting a whole foods plant-based diet over an animal, like 100% animal-based diet. So that's why I even said it here, like, you don't have to go 100%. You know, I have clients myself that's not 100%, but they're more on a plant forward diet. And you want to, and that's the key longevity if you really want to. You could go 100% or at least reduce the animal intake and have more plant-based foods. And if you're
100%.
looking for expert advice, you know, you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Korin Sutton. I have to do the plug. And then you can find me on my website at bodyhdfitness.com, or email me at KorinSutton@bodyhdfitness.com.
Yes, please tell the audience where we can find y'all. I'm actually going to put a link in the description with all of y'all's information as well. So, Heem, let us know where we can find you too.
Yeah, family, you can tap in with me at Heem Green. That's HeemGreen. Green, like the last name. It's the color. So that's my last name, Heem Greens. You can tap in with me on Instagram. You can tap in with me on TikTok. I mean, all platforms, all platforms. I also have a company that I own called A New Botanicals. You can go get plenty of products on there. Link in my bio. And the last thing I just will say to y'all is, love yourself, you know, love yourself, and make sure you treat yourself with, you know, proper care. And by doing that, you got to feed your body vitality. We are here to live. We are not here to die. If you want to live with vitality, you want to live a long, good life, make sure you're feeding fuel to your body so you can have the energy to act out your everyday. You feed yourself death, I promise you that's what you're going to get. It's common sense. You don't have to make it too complicated. You could do all your research, but at the end of the day, it's very simple. Eat life or eat death. Take your choice. Peace, family. Love.
Thank you. Bryant, where can we find you?
You can follow me on BY Jennings at BY Jennings on pretty much every platform.
Hey, little girl.
All right.
Like, who are you?
She
But
just
all
woke
right,
up.
guys. Thank you so much. This was
I
a great
appreciate it.
episode. I enjoyed the dialogue, but y'all enjoy the rest of your afternoon, okay?
All right, take
You
care.
as well.
Thank
Love,
you.
love, love.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.